Econ 100, we look at prices and quantities. What determines the price that a good or service is being sold at, and what determines the quantity that are actually sold. So really what we're asking, is the price right? And that sounds a whole lot like a game show we all know. That game show, The Price is Right. So let's play The Price is Right now. All right, so here's our first product. Our first product is a Snuggie. This one was actually a gift from my mother-in-law. My cat stole the Snuggie and carries it around the house. So when the Snuggie came out, what was the price? All right, so all the guesses are hopefully in. The price of a Snuggie when it was first released was $19.99. Within 5 years or so of its release, the price of the Snuggie had changed. Can you guess, 5 years after its release, what was the price of a Snuggie? If you guessed $16, you are correct. How come it's $16? Well, when a product first comes out, people are fighting for it, they all want it, the price tends to be a bit higher. After you exhaust that initial demand, what we have is that we're producing lots of the product, and that can exceed the quantity that is demanded. So when there is less demand, the price falls. Well, what about a Snuggie now? It used to be when you were in stores, London Drugs, Walmart, you would see the Snuggie everywhere. Now the Snuggie is really hard to find. So what happens when a product becomes hard to find? Perhaps they don't even make the Snuggie anymore. Well, then we have a shortage. The quantity supplied is a lot less than the amount that people might want. So now if you're looking for a Snuggie on Amazon or eBay, how much is the price of a Snuggie? Well, if you guessed $80, you are correct. So changes in demand and supply will impact price, which is what we're looking at this semester. When demand goes up, the price goes up. When demand goes down, the price goes down. And when the supply decreases, like we see currently, then that drives up the price. All right, item number two. Item number two is a 12.9-inch, 256 gig iPad Pro. Okay, how much is the going rate right now for a 256 gig iPad Pro? Wi-Fi, no 4G. Okay, well, the current price is $14.29. This is actually $200 more than it was just last year when it was in the $1,200 range. So how come an iPad is so expensive? This iPad only costs about $700 to make, yet it sells for over $1,400. Why is that? Well, we're going to look this semester at how changes in demand change the price. So when things are more preferred, so it's cool to have, it's perceived as better quality, those types of things drive up the price. We can also look at what happens to supply. So if it costs more to make the product, because maybe there are supply chain issues, the cost of the raw materials are more expensive, those types of things will also drive up the price. So this semester we're looking at, is the price right? What is causing the price to go up and down? And we're looking at it from the customer perspective, that's demand, and we're looking at it from the business perspective, that is supply. All right, we have one more item here, and it's a can of Campbell's tomato and rice soup. How much is a can of tomato rice soup? Well, if you guessed $1.97, you are correct. So $1.97 is the current price of tomato rice at Walmart. Now, Walmart is typically cheaper than other stores, and that's because they're buying larger quantities. So when you buy in bulk, the cost per unit will be less. So we'll look at that this semester. Well, how come it's $1.97? Only about 4 years ago, the same Walmart tomato and rice was less than $1. And so when we look at that, we have to look at what is happening to consumer demand. Are we wanting more cans of tomato and rice? Well, perhaps we are stocking up on canned goods because of COVID-19. We also have to look at supply. What's happening to the cost of production? Well, these cans are made of aluminum or steel, and there is tariffs that are increasing the cost of these raw materials as we move back and forth between Canada and the US. So what's happening with trade and political policies on the trade of goods and services can also impact the price of a product. So we're going to be looking at that this semester. What impacts the price of a particular good?